What's up, WWE Champions Universe? This is Lee from Champions Chat, and we're on my roster journey across history, and we are up to my 3 million talent. I don't know when this was. I think it was 2022, so a long yesteryear ago. Yeah, tell me in the comments section, do you remember when you hit 3 million talent? This was a big deal to me, but you can see right there on the top of my roster, Alundra Blaze was carrying my roster for the females, and then Chadwick Gable Stevenson right next to him. That showboat Chad Gable was the man. 6 stars we're at this point. I know that for a fact because Merrick's posted a video breaking the game, how Chad could, in 1 or 2 moves, beat any 6-star in the game. He still claims to this day, probably very much rightly so, that because of that video, they changed the kick-out ability on all of the 6 stars. And he's probably right, because I remember getting that guy, taking him to 5-star gold as quickly as possible. And yeah, I started whooping everyone for a brief window in time. But then, see, I couldn't take 6 stars. I didn't have that kind of roster ability just yet. But then they kicked up the kick out, and all of a sudden Chad wasn't as shiny anymore. In fact, to this day, he is at that exact same star rating, maybe even that exact same talent level. I have not touched him since. I know he's still viable, but there was just something about how excited I was to beat everyone, and I finally had a killer card, and then they nerfed the ever-loving snot out of him. Other thing to notice on here, so if you look at from Alundra to Chad to Montez to Zombie Bobby, my first ever Chase character, to Seth, and then over to that Ultimate Warrior right there, almost my entire top end of my roster was Chase characters. I still have horrible pulls luck. There was one stretch that maybe we'll get to here in just a little bit, but I still have terrible pulls luck. And yeah, no characters did I achieve through paid loot pulls that were worth anything apparently at this time. Maybe down the roster we'll reveal it later, but yeah, that's the top end of my roster. That Ultimate Warrior was the new hotness. He's still really good. I love Always Believe Warrior, and he carried my roster. So that's my 3 million. I'll skip over here to 3.2 million just because we got a little bit here on this one, but the biggest one on 3.2 million, you can see DX HHH. That guy was incredible. I know about when this would have been, because I remember last summer, actually, 2022, I know it was then, my house flooded. And my work had given me a sabbatical so that I could, because I'd just been working so hard, right? I had this long stretch, the pandemic. I carried a big load during the pandemic, so to speak. And so we were in a extended stay hotel for over a month while they fixed up our house. And I know that's when DX HHH debuted, because they did the trial with him and everybody fell in love with him. And I was like, oh, I'm never, ever going to get this guy, obviously. And then I did. I didn't get gear. I still don't have gear, but I got him from the polls, and I had a 50% damage strap. I think it was gem damage, and I was all excited about that, not realizing now that his move damage is what actually was going to drive him home. But yeah, that was a huge get for me. That was one of my big celebration moments on my roster. Like, Triple H right there was incredible. And then the last piece for this video down here at the bottom, 4.22 million, so not too far after that, finally got the Boogeyman. I did not get Boogeyman during Farmageddon. I tried, didn't get him. Finally got Otis, Showboat. I had tried for him forever, couldn't get him. That was one of the chases I missed. Finally got Trickster JBL, right? That was another one I couldn't get. Got Underdog 123 Kid. This was like my luckiest roster stretch in a while. Got Damian Priest after he was already, not that great anymore. And then Rocky Maivia, Queen Steph, that Kofi. I didn't ever get that Kofi when he was relevant. I still haven't used him on my roster to this day, but I was so excited. And then Jim Uso right there, right? Jimmy Uso, technician bloodline. And also you notice from when we went to the 3.2 to the 4.22 million right here, what did we have? We've got tiers. We've got in-game tiers. Remember when those came out? Do you remember who was the only S plus tier in the game when they first did it and then went through and fixed everybody? It was Hall of Fame Bret Hart. A little bit of trivia for you right there. Yeah, and IOW Big Show was S tier, I believe, like something like that. But 100%, the only S plus tier in the game was Hall of Fame Bret Hart. And then they fixed it, and we didn't see S plus tiers until they introduced the new Hall of Fame. So a little bit of trivia to end this one out. I hope you're enjoying this series. It's just a walk down memory lane. Like, share, subscribe. Do all the things that you do in the comment section to chat and talk about how your roster has come along over the years. Thank you. Thank you for watching this.